And we are live. Welcome everyone. This podcast is an alpha and maybe subject to change. I don't want to know what that is. But
just ignore it. Didn't happen.
This is the 19th episode of the podcast.
Is it?
It is the 19th, I believe.
Genuinely?
We're coming up on 20.
I know we do this every time, but I'm
We
genuinely
do.
quite shocked by that. Usually it's like, wow, we've come so far, but like genuinely, I was like 19th. You sure? What?
Yeah.
What the hell?
I feel like half this podcast is just going, wow, I can't believe we've made it to this episode. And the other one is like, nice segue. That was a real good segue. Let's talk about that segue we just made, guys. That was a really good segue.
Yeah, it's more just, I can't believe you've done this.
But yeah, it's been a little while. We didn't do a podcast last week, so we could have been on 20 today. It could have been the 20th episode, but it was not.
I'm sorry.
That's fine.
Sorry.
You know,
We literally got to like T-minus 10 minutes, and I was sat here, and I was just leaning on the laptop like, I can't do it. I don't want to let my boy down.
But yeah, I remember I went down, got my cup of tea, came up, was like, here we go. And I was like, oh. That's okay. I'll
cry into the mug and then just drink the tears as well.
Yeah, that's fine. I can skip this week. I don't mind missing a week of the podcast.
It made me so sad. I fucking love this podcast.
Yeah, it's a great time. We had he's tearing up already.
I am.
just talking about how much he loves the podcast.
Oh no, I think no. Not quite. So here's the danger of working from home, ladies and gentlemen. I'm shitting where I'm eating. Literally, well, not literally, but I eat right here, and we had chili, and I think
on
the table, and then rub my eyes.
Is Sour starting this episode?
Yeah, starting as we mean to go on. Blind. Let's go.
Do you need a second to go rinse your eyes?
I'm good.
Are you sure?
I'm good.
Okay, that sounds good to me.
Let's go. No, I'm right now.
Shall we talk about what we've been playing for the last 2 weeks?
Oh man, I've actually been playing so many games as well.
Yeah,
more than usual for me.
I've got at least 5 on the list that I can talk about, so it's a good portion of different games that I've played. Be a good time. But I'll let you start, Tef, because you've probably got a ton to talk about.
I do. Where do I even start? I played Hypnospace Outlaw, which I think you might have seen because I did write an article about it. Because immediately I was like, I need to write about this. This is so good. I've been playing it for a while actually. I only got around to finishing it like 2 weeks ago because Game Pass was coming to an end and I had it on there. Well, it's coming to an end for me anyway because I'm not carrying on once the subscription goes up. So I just decided I wanted to play loads of like story-driven games, and I started a few. I'm not going to go into all of them because I'll be here all day, but this is the only one that really hooked me in, and anyone I finished, and it's like really good. Like if you don't know what it is, it's kind of like a 90s internet throwback, but also futuristic. So the idea is, it's set in this alternate version of the late 90s where this like headset has come out that like links into your brain, and the idea is when you're asleep, instead of just dreaming and like or being asleep and wasting those hours, you connect to the internet whilst you're asleep.
This is what I want. This is what I want the future to be.
It is the dream, isn't it? It's such a good idea. But because it's like the late 90s, the internet that you connect, well, it's basically more of a computer. It's not just the internet. It's like a whole computer interface that you connect to. And it's just so 90s, everything about it. The internet's all like GeoCities pages and people expressing themselves with really horrible fonts and animated cursors and things like that. And
you have to get those bouncy fonts going.
Loads of bouncy fonts going on. And so like it's like they've basically built like an operating system. The game is just a like virtual operating system, and you can download apps off the internet. You can download like skins for your music player, and you can get the one which is just the head, of course. And you can get like different wallpapers and like little virtual pets to go on your desktop, like Bonzi Buddy style, all very 90s and very cool. And yeah, and that like I wanted to play it just for that. I thought that's a cool enough concept anyway. But then when I was playing it, the actual story is really good because you play as basically like a moderator for this
Oh, okay.
hypnospace, like the sleep internet. So you got given cases and you have to go around and like investigate. You kind of have to like you play cat and mouse games with hackers and have to like the very first mission that you get is this is gonna be a little bit of a spoiler, but I'm gonna do it anyway because the
Okay.
very first mission that you get is people keep using this like cartoon character, all the boomers on the internet, because there's like a boomer section, boomer community where they've all got like all people in like their 40s, 50s, and 60s all have awful web pages, and they keep posting this old like 50s cartoon character, and you have to just go around finding it every time they've used this, his likeness, and then you remove it. Um, and it causes this like weird revolt with the boomers, and like the character's called Gooper, and it starts this movement called Stand with Gooper, and they all start filling their pages
It's like
with
a faction in
with
CK.
they, they all start like filling all their pages with pictures of Gooper, and it's like it's just really like stupid, and
Oh, have we lost Tef already?
it's great
Hello?
for
Oh,
no.
you
Hello
cut out. There you go. We got you back.
again. So you make money by like finding things to ban basically, or things to
Mm.
report. So when they all start revolting, like if we all just post Scooper everywhere, they can't stop all of us. You can just go through and ban every single person and just make loads of money. And it's really, really good. Um, and it's just got it's got such good writing and such good characters. And I'm not going to ruin the story because the story is actually really, really cool. It has like a nice ending, but you kind of get to know everyone who runs these pages, all these different characters. They're all, like, so
Okay.
fleshed out and so realistic, and I was surprised by how, like, real all the people felt in it. It was really cool, and you can actually affect them as well, like, the way you decide to interact with them changes things later down the line, and it's really interesting. It's a really good game. And if you're into that sort of thing, because it is, like, kind of bordering on, it's a detective game, but it's bordering on, like, interactive fiction or walking
Mm.
sim, like the way Her Story is. But if you're into that sort of thing, it's
Yeah.
really, really good, and I definitely recommend it.
Does sound very interesting. And it has parallels to what goes on the internet today, anyway. I'm
Oh,
sure
yeah, like
the whole group of things, like, I'm sure they're all like censorship.
definitely. Oh, yeah, because it is kinda, like, similar to hashtags and things like that, and I think I mentioned
Mm.
that in the Medium article that I wrote, plug. But it's the aesthetic is very 90s, but all the points that it makes and all the themes that it brings up are very much about the internet as it is today. It's really pointing fingers at problems we've got on the internet now. It's really
Yeah.
it's really clever.
That's very clever.
But it's cool. It's really cool. Definitely recommend it if you're into that sort of thing.
All right.
Other games we've been playing, Zelda, lots of Zelda. I'm wearing a Dark Link shirt.
What is, that is a pretty cool shit.
I've been playing so much Zelda. Like at the end of our last podcast, I mentioned that I hadn't gone into Hyrule Castle and
Oh,
fought
yeah.
Ganon in Breath of the Wild,
We've
so I
actually
immediately
talked
went
about
and
that.
did that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, off camera, we did. Yeah. Um, I immediately just went and did it, and it was very easy. Which everyone expected. I expected because everyone had told me that
I don't
it's
think there's
kind
a
of
hard Zelda boss fight at the end, really. If you ever, like, Ganon's never really
well.
hard. I'm trying to think of one.
I mean, I don't know. I think what I mean is you expect it to be more difficult. I expected Hyrule Castle to be more difficult than the rest of the game, and it just wasn't. If anything, it was actually easier than other sections. Um, but I mean, that's probably just because I'd waited so much other stuff. I was kind of too geared up for going in there. They don't
Mm.
expect you to wait so long to go in. I think they expect you to go in pretty early. And to be fair, like I couldn't even survive in Hyrule Field. Like at the halfway point of the game, I couldn't even go and fight the Guardians in the field outside the castle.
Yeah.
Never mind go in there. So I probably did just wait too long and get too geared up. Um, but it's cool, and I did enjoy it. It's got a really cool ending. And I forgot to get all the memories. Like where you go to certain areas and
Oh,
it
yeah, the
triggers like a
memories are
memory
very,
with Zelda.
they're very cool.
I think they are very cool. I was like missing two when I went to the castle. I forgot to finish that quest. So I finished the game. I got the final cutscene, and Link and Zelda are staring at each other, and Zelda with her annoying fake British accent goes, "Link, do you remember me?" And Link just goes, "Because I because I hadn't unlocked all the memories."
That's all, folks.
And then it just ends. Link just going. It just
I
cuts
didn't
black.
actually get that ending. Because I did get all the memories first, but that's bizarre.
It's so funny. It's like it's such a punishment. It is one of those endings that like it's making it really clear, like, well done, you've missed half the ending. And I was like,
Yeah,
but
I
because of the way the game works, I can just go and get the memories and then go fight Ganon again
yeah.
anyway.
I think with Hyrule Castle as well, you can kind of just skip a lot of the castle and run right up to Ganon if you want to, which makes
Mhm.
the castle kind of easy.
Yeah, yeah. So I put climbing gear on and scaled up the side of the castle instead of fighting
Oh,
the Guardian.
yeah. Well, there you
I think
go.
I climbed into actually, well, I went right from the very bottom because I started in like the caves underneath and worked my
Did
way
you
up
get the
the
shield
castle.
then?
But like, I somehow missed that. I realized that this morning. I found that like a tab on my phone. I'm awful on my phone. I've got like a million tabs open in my browser.
Hmm.
And I found one from ages ago saying how to get Hyrule Shield, and I was like, I didn't get that. And I checked it this morning, and it says it's in the caves, in the
Yeah.
mines, and I'm sure I was in that very room. So I must have just not looked very carefully. I wasn't like looking around that much, to be honest. I was more interested in getting into the actual castle. I didn't expect anything to be in
Mm,
the mines underneath. Really, the actual castle is really cool.
it
It's really fun
is.
to explore.
I don't know. I found like I looked up where the shield was because I heard it was in the game, and I was like, where is this shield? I want it. And then I found out it was in the castle, and I was like, it's a bit strange that it's at the very end of the game, but I need this
Yeah.
shield. So I immediately was like, well, now I'm going to Hyrule Castle, and that's how I ended up beating the game.
Well, I mean, you have to like pretty much 100% the game in order to get the iconic green tunic. So it is.
Mm.
That's a weird thing about Breath of the Wild. It rewards you with all that fan servicey stuff at the very end of the game.
And if you do everything, you even get a nice golden poop.
Oh yeah,
Oh
golden poop.
yes. I don't think I'd ever bother finding all of the I've actually forgotten what they're called.
Korok seeds.
Koroks, that's it. I don't think I'd
I
ever
don't think
bother doing that. You
you're
don't
not
need
meant
to.
to find all of them, are you? Yeah.
Yeah.
There's just so
But
many of them so that you naturally stumble across them, which I think is cool. Like games don't usually do that. That's a nice touch.
mm, yeah, it was nice to have stuff like that in there, and it was all very Zelda-esque, you know, puzzles. It was like, hey,
Mm.
there's a circle of stones down there, and look, there's a stone up there. And stuff
Yeah,
like that.
once you spot them, because there's only so many different types as well. You do get used to them, and then you can see them immediately. Like there's a Korok seed, but it's
Yeah.
cool the first time you see one and you figure out how it works. It's really satisfying.
Yeah, I think one of the ones I found was like a circle of rocks or something, and that's been a thing in Zelda forever, like since A Link to the Past, maybe even before
Mhm.
that. I'm trying to think, but yeah, it was. God, the Breath of the Wild is such a fun game, and
Mhm.
a lot of the story takes place before that, which is well, actually, we'll talk about that later on.
Cover that
But
later. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's bizarre that they wanted to do so much with that game. They had to split it into a prequel and then also a sequel afterwards.
Yeah, well, so yeah, it's a weird way they've divided up the story, really. But I think it's cool. But we'll talk
Yeah,
about that more later.
yeah, we will.
I did I did also finish Link's Awakening this week
Okay.
because I had that on the Switch. Really fun. Uh, Painfully easy because they have made the
Yeah.
game so much easier on the Switch. They've added in more hearts for starters, and
Oh.
they've added in more hearts. You get more heart drops during boss battles, and they added in this thing which I think is in later games, and they kind of retroactively added it into this one where you could find medicine that would well like if you carried it, it would instantly if you died, it would like instantly heal you up, like revive you.
Oh, like a fairy.
Which, like the fairies, yeah. And I already had two fairies in a bottle, which like
Okay.
I never had to use. I didn't even have all the bottles. There's a third one, but I couldn't be bothered getting it. Um, and like so, there was just it was basically impossible for me to die because I had three revives on me, and like stupid amount of hearts because they've added way more hearts to the game than the
Hmm.
original had, and that medicine as well, like, I found one in, like, the second to last dungeon, and then in the last dungeon, I think there's 2 other ones, but you can only carry one at a time, so I just had to leave them there because I wasn't dying. The game's not
Yeah.
hard. So it's just yeah, it was weird. It's really cool. I don't I thought I'd finished it before, but now I'm not so sure. It's funny, the ending of Link's Awakening, because the boss battle is just you fight this like abstract nightmare creature which morphs into various different bosses from Link to the Past.
Hmm.
So you have to fight Aghanim from Link to the Past. You fight
Okay.
the Moldorm, which is already a boss in one of the dungeons in Link's Awakening anyway. And you actually have to fight Ganon. He's not the final boss, bizarrely. He's like the
Mm,
the third out of
okay.
5 phases in the final
Okay.
boss, but you have to fight Ganon. And he was the only one I really struggled with, actually, because he was a lot tougher, but it was more just because you have to sort of get behind him, and you can't control Link's Awakening with a D-pad on the Switch for some reason. You've got to control it with the stick, which makes those precise movements in boss battles a bit awkward sometimes.
Yeah.
It's weird because the D-pad doesn't do anything, so I don't know why they didn't just make it so that you could control it with the D-pad. I'd much rather play a top-down game with a D-pad, but there you go, whatever. But yeah, it's fun, good game, quality game. Would highly recommend.
What was the last boss then out of the 5? If Ganon was the 3rd or 4th for whatever reason.
I can't remember. I remember it was stupidly easy, um, but I honestly can't remember. I think it was just like it was like a big pair of hands. I'm sure he was one of the bosses from Link to the Past, I think. Um, but yeah, like weirdly, Ganon was in the middle, and he was the hardest one, and then the 2 after him were like really easy.
Hmm.
It's probably a lot harder in Link's Awakening because the original game is actually quite tough.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just weird in that Switch remake. It was very easy. Wish I could remember. Let's try and
Yeah.
look it up.
I don't know. Link's Awakening is one that I haven't really played. So, but I don't know.
Mm.
I've still got A Link Between Worlds that I still really want to play as well. That's like one I need to do. Like that, especially because I really like A Link to the Past. That's one I definitely need to play at some point. But yeah, we'll see. You looking up the final boss now?
I am. I am. Yeah, it's the last one I think is not from any other game actually. And it's just this sphere with arms coming out of it, and the arms very slowly close in on you, and I mean like that. And all you have to do is jump over them and then hit it in the head.
Okay.
It was just ridiculous. It was like something that would have been in like the first dungeon, and it was the last phase of the final boss. It was bizarre.
Okay, that was weird.
Yeah, I mean the endings are not great, honestly. For Link's Awakening, like the final battle is really anticlimactic, I thought, but the rest of the game is so good that I don't care. Plus, it was a Game Boy game, so I guess they were kind of limited in what they could do. Can't be as
Yeah.
grandiose as other Zelda games.
Yeah, I guess it has that issue. But
Mm.
yeah, I'm trying. Oh God, I really want to play a Zelda game now. I need to go back and play one.
I've been playing
Love.
so much Zelda recently.
Yeah, you just on that Zelda train.
Yeah, boy.
But yeah, what other trains have you been on this week?
Been on the Mario train, choo choo. Got a 3D All Stars last night. I've only played Galaxy so far. A little bit of Mario 64. I've got the first couple of stars, the ones that you can, the ones that you just get on
Mm,
autopilot because you've
yeah.
done them so many times. Like, I just went in and got the first few in like Whomp's Fortress and Bob on Battlefield and the slide, and um, it's Mario 64. I don't know. It's the same. I've already
Yeah.
played that plenty of times because that game's really really easy to emulate. I own it legally, so shut up. But like, I've played that game a lot, and it's just okay. Yeah, it's not
Mm,
great these days. I definitely was great at the time. I loved it back when it was like a relevant game, but the controls are a bit finicky these days.
that's
Uh,
definitely an opinion people
Galaxy
would
though,
fight you on.
you know what? It's actually not.
I know some people that are
With 3D All Stars.
love 64 though.
Well, I've thought this for like a couple of years, and I've always felt like an outcast for it because people say that it's got the perfect control scheme, best control scheme ever made. And yet, to be fair, speedrunners who understand it really well do some amazing things with it. Um, And I'm not saying it's a bad controls game. I just think that it's been done better by later Mario games because they've tightened up the controls a little bit. Um, but people going back to 3D All Stars now, I've noticed the discourse has shifted slightly. Now that people are replaying it on the Switch, people have noticed that it's not quite as smooth as Sunshine and Galaxy, and definitely nowhere near as smooth as Odyssey, because Odyssey controls really well.
Oh yeah,
But it's
Odyssey is just, mwah, you know.
Odyssey's really tight, and I think that's the thing. There's a little bit of looseness to 64, which makes it hard to go back to. Like if you want to turn around, if you're like pointing forwards and you pull the stick back rather than spinning on the spot and running in the other direction, Mario kind of runs in a tight circle to turn around,
Yeah.
which can really catch you out if you're on a narrow platform. It means that if you're on a really narrow platform, like you're on a tightrope, you can't turn around because he'll try to do a U-turn. Um,
He'll go right off. Yeah.
Little things like that do they aren't great, but it's still like a really fun game. But Galaxy is so good. Oh, I've just been waiting for a chance to play Galaxy again because I loved it so much when it came out. Great game, really fun, really creative level design. Like all Mario games, really, they're always really creative.
Mm. Galaxy has the whole like the gravity stuff and the planets going on. That's really cool.
Yeah, that's it. It just opens up the so many like new opportunities for level design, and they really
Yeah.
run with it, and they do some really cool things. Um, haven't played Sunshine yet. I've never played Sunshine. I've always wanted to since like age 8, and I'm finally getting my chance. But
All
yeah,
these
I've not
years
played
later.
that one just yet. But I think I'll enjoy it. I know it's kind of a black sheep, and some people really like it, and some people don't. I have this feeling that I'm going to enjoy it, but I've not played it just yet.
Well, I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Like all the Mario games are good in their own way, to be honest. Like even if it is the black sheep, it's still good. You know, to a degree. Yeah, it's a good time. I've only really dipped into Galaxy and Sunshine. I've not actually properly played any of them. But I need to pick it up. I do, so I can actually go through it because it'd be so much fun. But yeah, I'll see what happens with that. Anything else?
Really good value for money. Sorry,
Yeah.
but it's
No.
you know, considering most Nintendo games are like £50, $60, whatever, which it is still that amount, but you are getting 3 games for that. So, and 3 very good games. And
Yeah.
okay, like the Mario 64 port is very lazy, but I th- the Galaxy feels really good. They've made the gyro work really well. It doesn't feel awkward to use considering it was made for the Wii. I obviously can't
Yeah.
comment on Sunshine yet, but everyone said that from what I've seen about Sunshine tech breakdowns and stuff like that, that looks like that's really good as well. I'd say it's good value for money.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've seen some people actually saying, you know, there's been a lot of love for Sunshine. Actually, I've noticed. I don't know if it's just what I've been seeing, but you know, some people actually are really enjoying it now they're going back to it, I guess. But yeah, anything else going on with you, Tef? What else you been playing?
I think that's it. They're the main things. There's been other smaller ones,
Okay.
but we'll be here all day.
Yeah, we're only like half an hour in, so you feel free. But yeah, well, as for myself, I've played a few things. Well, we had last night we had indie game nights, and for indie game nights, I played a few things. We had Unsung Heroes, which was like a couch co-op sort of 2D action platformer game, which was fun. It was a good time, but it was very generic. It was your typical indie, you know, 2D action platform. I feel like the game needs to lean into the co-op, like couch co-op thing to be like to stand out in any way, because it's it also kind of looked a bit like a mobile game. But I mean,
yeah.
it was okay for what it was. I enjoyed my time with it, but it's probably not something I'd pick up personally. But yeah, it's one of those things. It was interesting. It had like a mix of weapons you could get as well from like a merchant and stuff along those lines. And when you went, I actually did a second run of it because I went through it so quickly to have a go. And actually the dialogue changes because you go through a second time. They're like, wait, you've been here before. So
That's cool.
That was neat of them to do something like that. I did appreciate that. But yeah, it was an okay one. And then I also played a game called Lonesome Village, which I think I saw an article about it somewhere. and someone described it as like a mix of like puzzles and Stardew, which it wasn't exactly that when I went in. The idea behind Lonesome Village was it's one of those silent games where not really talks to you directly or says anything. You play as a little fox character, and then you're like outside this. You start off in a tent outside this village, and the village is empty. And then there's this big dungeon tower thing that opens up, and then you have to go into the tower, and then there's like a different puzzle on each floor of the tower. And as you do one of the puzzles, it frees a villager, and the villager goes back into the town, and then they do stuff in the village. So there's like one where they want fish. You give them fish and they give you gold. So I think that's the cat. Will do that. And then you have like someone who will give you gold for berries and stuff. And there was also there were other characters that weren't really finished yet. So I went to the lake to go fishing, and I fished up a villager, and I was like, oh, hi. There's a fish person under there. But they all have like hearts and stuff, which it looks like it's got potential to do a lot. The puzzles were really simple though, for the most part. Like it was like 10 on all these braziers, or there was like you're in a dark room and there's lights, and the lights stick to you and follow you for a little bit before fading. But there's also holes in the floor and stuff. So it was very simple puzzles like that. But it was interesting for what it was. I feel like they could do a lot more with it, especially if they lean into the village stuff more, because you actually have your own house in the village. I think one of the people will direct you to a house, and there's a chest in there where you can store stuff. And there's also one of the people you've free. I think it's a rat. You free a rat, and he can like get you furniture for gold as well. So yeah, that's something they should maybe lean into more. But it was an interesting one. It wasn't exactly what I thought it would be. But yeah, that was a Lonesome Village. The
village
third one,
part of it.
Yeah,
Sorry, the village part of it sounds more interesting to me personally.
Yeah,
From what you're saying, the puzzle solving just sounds like Zelda, funnily enough. But yeah, that kind of puzzle where it's technically a puzzle, but it's not really requiring much actual thought from you.
yeah. Like I'm trying to think of it. Like the only one that was like, well, no, I never even needed much thought for that one. But it was like there was an elevator you could go in, and to actually get the code to use the elevator, you had to get this magnifying glass, and you had to like look over to the side of the screen, like off the screen somewhere, and it had like a little code for the symbols, and then you had to like type them in. So there was an element of that, and like when you use the magnifying glass to like look, like there was a statue that I looked at, and when I looked at it, it looked like a demon thing when I put the magnifying glass over it. I was like, oh, that's interesting.
It's neat.
But yeah, that was that. The big one that I played that was really cool was something called Passing By, which just had a really nice, like it was all like polygons, the art style. So it was like this cardboard paper, sort of crumpled up cardboard paper look. And the idea behind this was you're on this island, and then someone crashes down an airship. It's like, hey, I'm old. I gotta deliver this letter to someone. And it's like, well, who you gotta deliver to? And like, I don't know. Like, I don't know who the letter's for, but you'll know. You'll know. Take this letter, take my airship, and off you go. And
hey, free airship.
So you take the airship, and then you just fly off between different islands with different biomes and different people. I only got to like one of the islands because the game kind of bugged out on me, but I did really like it. I feel like it's got so much potential.
What was it called? Sorry.
Passing By.
Was it an Itch.io game?
It wasn't an Itch.io game. An Itch.io game. Yeah.
Itch.io.
Itch.io. Yeah.
That sounds really cool. I'll give that a look.
So it did have like a hunger and so there was like a hunger and a thirst system. So you had to like fill up your bottle at springs and grab food from the like apple trees and stuff to keep going. And unfortunately, one of the bugs I encountered was, for some reason, well, there's these like little diamond shapes that appear where you can interact with stuff, and what you can do is you drag an item from your inventory onto that, and it'll, you'll fill up your water bottle or whatever. Unfortunately, it bugged out and wasn't letting me do that. So I tried to drag it over and I was like, oh, well, this is a problem. And then we died of thirst. Well, actually, I ended up drowning myself to just get it over with and see what happens. And it turns out it just resets you completely. So I was like, oh, okay. They don't have a save system in just yet. But I do want to revisit it and give it another go. Because it was kind of cool. It had like for the one island I did go to, there was like it was kind of like a little puzzle where you had to go around the island and find a lever for a lift, put the lever on the lift, and then you have to like drag someone's sail on there because someone had crashed the ship into it, and you have to like get their sail from one side of the island to the other, and stuff like that, while you also explore the island and find different items. And then there was like different customizations for the ship and stuff, and I believe you could get like hacks and stuff for your own little guy. So it was kind of neat. And I really liked the art style as well. I thought it looked like it was simple, but it was also like, you know, it was endearing in a way.
It does look really nice.
Yeah.
Like an almost origami style to it.
That's definitely what I thought as well. But yeah, I'm thinking I might revisit that one to give it another go, because it was a good time. And that's it for the indie games that I've played. Well, for indie game night at least. I played Danganronpa, the first game. I've played a little bit of that. No one has died in that game yet, so I'm like only a few hours in. So there's a lot for me to still uncover. I don't know what's gonna happen in the game.
Many mysteries. I'll stay tight-lipped because I have played all the Danganronpas and don't want to spoil you by accident.
Yeah, and I don't know. I feel like I don't know. I feel like my gut's probably not far off. I feel like I don't know. Who knows? Anything could happen. But I'm like, I don't know. I want to stick with Biker Guy. Biker Guy. Listen, he can punch people. I'm sure I'll be fine with him, right?
You just hit people with his hair.
True, he can
do enough damage.
Swing it about.
Comes out like
a baseball bat.
Him versus Leon, the Ultimate Showdown.
Yeah, him and question mark girl. They're the two I'm sticking by. It's been decided.
Whoa, mysterious girl.
Yeah, question mark girl.
Andre for the kids.
Yeah, I don't know if the kids know who that is, but hey.
Probably not. Probably that's probably for the best.
Yeah. Oh well. But yeah, I don't know. Question mark girl is definitely my waifu, as the kids say. I've decided.
You simp.
Don't you have a figurine of her?
Shut up. Celeste's my waifu. She's just like the side hoe.
Okay. And she is like the gothic lolly girl, right?
Don't say lolly girl. It's Lolita. Lolly's very different.
Okay. I'm just not that much different. Putting that out there.
No, totally different thing.
Throwing you under the bus now.
Oh man, throw me to the police. Jesus. Oh.
Hey, you know what? She could even like question mark. She could be FBI, like an inside agent. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with her.
She could be.
Or she's just gonna murder us all. I don't know. We'll find out. I'll keep updating everyone. I guess I don't know. Listen, it's an old game. I'm sure people are fine with me spoiling it when I do eventually get to the end of it. But yeah, that was fun. I've been having a lot of fun with that. We'll see what happens. Many mysteries to unfold. Well, there's not a mystery. Well, I guess there is a mystery, but there's no one's died yet. There's no murders to solve.
No mysteries yet. Suppose, you might want to know why you're trapped inside a school with a crazy, murderous robot bear.
It's a game. Mystery solved.
So when you say nobody's died, no one at all.
No one at all has died.
Not a single person.
No, I don't think a single person's died.
Okay, you must be very, very early on, because I've just remembered something.
I mean, I'm trying to. Yeah, I had my. I think I just had like my first proper free time, and I think after that, I think I finished that day, and that's when I stopped after that. Because I've
Oh,
been
okay,
going
I
for a
think
little bit. I think I'm
you are
probably just
right
on the
on the cusp.
verge.
I
Yeah.
think the next day is the first death, yeah, because there's actually a death very early on, even before the first investigation starts. There's actually a death before. A
Oh,
little bit of a spoiler there, but, like, that's what made me stop and think, "Hang on a second, you must be really early on."
yeah. I figured someone was gonna die even earlier than that for grabbing the headmaster and throwing him. But
Oh, yeah, well, that nearly ends in a bloodbath.
yeah, nearly. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm sure. I thought someone would die for breaking the rules, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. But
We're breaking the law. We're breaking the world.
you had like a little bit of Scottish in there. Then I feel
We're
like
breaking the law. Kidding it. Oh, I can't wait to play Yakuza 7 like a dragon.
oh, that's also been moved forward, hasn't it? It's now got March release date. Getting an
Hmm?
earlier release.
No, 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 no.
Is it not?
It was going to come out in November, like the 12th, and they've brought it forward like a couple of days. So now it's coming out on the 10th of November. They've announced that the PS5
Oh,
edition is
okay.
coming out in March.
I
On every other console, including Series X, it's coming out in November. It's just the PS5 version's coming later.
okay.
But
Well,
yeah, that was announced just a few hours ago.
it was. I did notice that earlier, so I skimmed through it.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's on the way. Um, what else have I been playing? Oh yeah, I also played Dominion for the first time, which is just a card game. I don't know. It's a very old. I don't know if it's very old, but it's like it's a very it's a card game that's been around for quite a while that I think a lot of people know about. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Actually, don't think I have.
It's essentially it's just one of these card games where you have I I saw it played like years ago, but I'd never actually played it myself. And how it works
Hmm.
is you have victory points that you get through like duchies and provinces that you can buy, and everyone start.
City Kings.
Yeah, people start off with like you have like a hand of cards, and you have like 7 or 8 coppers, and I think 3 coppers are worth like a silver, and then like five is like worth a gold, or 6 are worth a gold or something. I think it might be 5's worth of gold, and you kind of keep building up that, and then there's also cards in the middle that have like effects that you can pick up. And there's like cards like the witch that you pick up a witch, and whenever you play the witch, it gives the other person a curse, which is -1 victory point. And the nice thing about curses is like whenever you use a card, it goes to your discard pile, but that's like shuffled and goes back into your hand. So as
Hmm.
you keep picking cards up, you get more and more cards in your like discard pile. So you're like essentially your deck, and then you keep shuffling that, and you'll keep getting more cards. And eventually, what you do is you can like combo stuff. So there's like action cards, and there's cards where you get more than one buy a turn. So every turn you can only buy one thing with the amount of coins that you have in your hand. But if you have like a buy card, you can buy 2 things, or you could get action cards that allow you to do another action, which is play another card essentially, and you can like stack cards on top of each other and stuff. So it's fun. I played it.
Sounds really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice for little 1v1s as well if you want to just do that. I was playing it on a browser. So yeah, that was a good time. But yeah, that's it for what I've been playing this week for the most part.
Really?
So yeah.
We're not
Well,
even at the hour mark.
we're not.
What about last week? Got 2 weeks. So
Uh
draw from here.
tell us about ODST Tef.
Oh god, yeah. I was playing that with Ziff. That's a point. Played that last night? Maybe? No? That doesn't sound right. No, Friday night. It was ages ago. I'm lying completely. It was Friday night. I'm getting old. What can I say? I'm a boomer now.
Hmm.
Yeah, well, that's come out on MCC recently. So I've been playing through that again with Ziff. He is just great for playing Halo games with because he's like a little tour guide, and he just stops at little random things and goes, this is really interesting to the lore. I've never seen this before." And like it's great. I learned so much about Halo from him, and I love the ODST campaign because it's just
It is
so
really good.
unlike any other Halo game.
The start
completely
of that
different
game
vibe.
especially, I remember it just being so cool when you first like
Yeah.
drop in, and then you wake up and it's just night and there's no one around.
It was somehow even more atmospheric than I remember it being, because it is just the way you drop in and you're not given that objective straight away. You're just in this empty city, and you kind of like you clear out the nearby enemies, and then you stumble across the superintendent, who's like the AI running the city, and
Yeah,
he starts giving you objectives then, and like it starts to sort of have some purpose from there. You start exploring the city, trying to find what happened to like your squad members. But for that opening section, it's just how totally aimless you are. And me and Ziff actually couldn't remember how to trigger the superintendent. We remembered that that was what we needed to do in order to get our objective, but we were just wandering around the city for a while, just exploring, just trying to find what does it. And it turns out you have to like kill all the enemies, and um, quite a few like waves appear throughout the town. And then once you've killed enough of them, a phone starts ringing, and you like a payphone starts ringing, and you answer, and it's the superintendent. It's cool, nice touch.
okay.
Um,
I actually don't even
and
remember that. It's been
I'd
that
completely
long.
forgotten about that too. In my mind, you just dropped in, and I remembered that the enemies were there, but I didn't remember that you had to kill them. I thought you could just kind of sneak past them, because you can do a lot of sneaking past enemies in ODST, which is very unusual for a Halo game. But like, I thought you just sneaked on past them, and when I tried to just go through the door that the superintendent unlocks for you. My head is immediately like, I remember going there, and me and Ziff both went there, and then the door wouldn't open, and we were like, "What do we do now?" Started like panicking. It's just it's so great. It's just so unique. The whole vibe, like the noir soundtrack with the sleazy saxophone, like it's
Oh
so good.
yes,
And one nice touch is because we were playing co-op. There's an added little part to that opening section where everyone obviously like the game starts with you crashing into the city, and the
yeah,
rookie's knocked out for like 6 hours, then he wakes up in the middle of the night, and all the battle's ended, and he's got to find out what happened to everyone because he's missed the party. But like whoever's the host will start in the normal spot in that crashed pod, and everyone else will be in their own crashed pod, scattered around that district of the city. So your first objective when you're playing co-op is to actually reunite with the other people playing the
that's
game with
cool.
you, like your party members. You gotta find them first, and then you gotta like take everyone else. It's cool, nice little extra touch.
That is a nice touch on top. God, I would love them to go down the path of ODST again or something like that. Like they could
Well,
potentially do that with Infinite,
that's it. Does it seems to remind me of that, honestly, with the levels that
with
are kind of
how
semi-open,
opening. Yeah,
which is how ODST did it. Like it's not an open world game. Like the engine couldn't have handled that, but the way the city
mm,
doubles as like a level hub and an area to explore, it's cool. Nice
yeah.
touch.
So I mean, I don't know. We'll see what happens with Infinite because I feel like it could potentially do that. I mean, they could do more than what they did with ODST. They could really
Mm.
go somewhere with it, but if that's the path they want to take with it, which we'll see.
Yeah,
But
it's not clear how the open world really factors into Infinite yet. We'll have to
mm,
see how they plan to use that open world.
yeah, the fact that they've got a map in there as well, and it's like it looks like they've got objectives scattered on there and stuff, and like different things you
Mhm.
can go to do. It looks like it potentially has that going for it, but I don't know. I'm interested to see where it goes. I really
Mhm.
need to go back and maybe play some of the Halo campaigns because I've not played any of them yet. I kind of just
Really?
yeah, I've had them. I just didn't want to really play them. I don't know. Maybe something I'll need to go back to. Like ODST especially is one that I'd want to really revisit because it was a
Yeah.
good time.
ODST is definitely worth it. I think if you were going to play any of them, I would recommend ODST.
Mm.
If like there was only one that you could play, ODST is definitely the best.
Yeah, I feel like if I would, it'd probably be like ODST and free just for the memories that I have in that game of
Oh yeah.
of the campaign. Just it was I don't know, that campaign was like especially the last mission and all the silly stuff I'd do like getting in the bin and just whacking the gravity hammer and messing about. I remember getting out the map so many times in Halo 3 as well.
It's so easy to break out the map in Halo 3. It's great fun.
Yeah, some of the best parts of games like that. Like that's not something you really see any more like people enjoying just, you know, breaking the game and doing bugs. Like, look, I don't know. I used to love doing that though back in the day, weirdly. And I don't try and do anything like that anymore.
No, it's just gonna get you banned by the anti-cheat these days.
Yeah.
Plus, I think games these days now as well, they have like kill barriers set up, and they're much smarter about that sort of thing. I
Mm.
think back then, although they had kill barriers, they didn't seem to be quite as intelligent. So I think they had to be added in manually, and it was easy to slip in between kill barriers if you knew where the cracks were. Well, that's not really possible these days.
Yeah.
So
I feel like I'm not as invested in one game anymore as well. Like I was with Halo back in
yes,
the day.
true. Yeah, that's very true.
Because Halo was like, let's look up all the secrets and glitches and stuff and do them and have a good time. But yeah, I'm not like that anymore. I guess Arcade, but I'm not invested. No, I mean, I don't think it's... There's probably some bugs in Arcade, but it's also like, you know, it's hard to break out the map in a game like that.
Yeah, but well, I mean, it's basically open world, isn't it? There isn't much to break out of. If you can already go everywhere, where's the fun in that?
Well, I mean, one thing with MMOs is they like to hide. They like have areas that they've got unfinished. Like WoW still has this a lot where it has unfinished areas, which was cool in WoW because you could actually go and like see these areas that were potentially coming in the future or were going to be changed. But I don't know. Arcade, I guess Arcade probably has some stuff like that, but not as much as something like WoW. Yeah.
Indeed. I do remember that the original Azeroth map, before they changed it for Cataclysm, had a lot of zones that you couldn't access, and but like they were kind of at least partially built, and it was really interesting. You could sort of tell that they'd planned for you to be able to go there and then change their minds and just left it there. It was really
Yeah.
cool. Really cool to explore them.
Yeah, I think Mount Hyjal was one of them, wasn't it? If I
Yeah, that's
remember.
right.
But yeah, there was stuff like that, and then I remember there was like just random caves in the middle, and like if you went all the way around the shore of somewhere, there'd just be a random cave on a beach that was just empty. I remember finding one of those and be like, you know what, this would make a really cool guild base back in the day.
Oh man.
Get some warlocks set over here, get some portals, you know, make a nice little home here.
Cozy.
But yeah, that's it for what we've been playing this week mostly, isn't it? We want to
Yeah, pretty much.
wrap that up there because the news is going to go on for a bit anyway.
Oh yes.
It's been a jam-packed week, 2 weeks. Well, a lot that's happened, some big stuff as well. So, shall we take a quick 10-minute and then we'll come back and we'll talk about the news. So, yeah.
News.
Don't go anywhere and we'll be right back. And we're back. Wave. So, we've got a lot to talk about now. Because we missed last week and a lot happened last week gaming news wise.
Oh yes.
So let's start with let's just start with the simple ones, the nice and easy ones to go over. First of all, talk a little bit about CD Projekt Red, you know? So, apparently, Cyberpunk is going to be slightly shorter than The Witcher 3, main story-wise at least. Mostly because people complained The Witcher 3 story was too long. That's the story, for the most part. But,
is that an criticism? I've never heard that. I've not played The Witcher, so I can't say one way or the other myself, but I've not really heard that myself.
I genuinely don't. I don't think it was that long. I thought it was fine, but I guess there's people that, you know, they don't want something too long. Because I guess it's also really open. But yeah, it's a very open game. There's a lot of different side quests you can do and stuff. And I don't know, I guess people doing that on top of the main quest, it's like, well, this is too much, guys. I mean, they could just rush through the main quest. I think that's what I did when it first came out. I was just like, all right, I'm just going to blitz through the main quest. And then I went through and did all the side quest stuff and, you know, did slightly different choices and stuff. So I just found that more interesting. You know, you got to choose which of the girls you wanted in the end.
Oh, pick your waifu.
It was Yen. It was Yen all the way.
Sure it wasn't Kirigiri?
No, unfortunately not. I mean, Yenna's also, she does have those purple eyes, so close enough.
It'll have to do.
But yeah, I don't know. I think it's an odd criticism that apparently they got, and I also Cyberpunk's gonna have 3 different story paths you can go down as well, because there's 3 different ways you can start the game. So I don't mind this too much, as long as, you know, the world is still big and open and there's a lot going on in it, which it looks like it is.
Mm.
It just seems like an odd criticism for a game to get, but I guess there are people that, you know, they work and do jobs and stuff, and they're like, oh, I can't sit down and play video games.
I mean, for me, I am one of those people where like I don't like it when it takes up too much of my free time unless
Mm.
there's good reason. But like I think for me, it's just that it gets boring if there's like too much side content to drag you away from the main story. I don't like that. Like it because usually I'd prefer for the main story to be really interesting and for that to be what I'm doing most of the time. We've gotten to a weird point now with open world games where the side content takes up more time than the main content. So it's not really side
Mm.
content anymore, is it?
Yeah, I think the thing with Witcher 3 is all the side content was really good as well, for the most part. It was all really enjoyable and well written. Like, you also had returning characters show up in some of these. So if, like, for example, if you, Lefo was a character from Witcher 2, he was like an antagonist from Witcher 2, and if at the very end of Witcher 2 you can either kill him or you can let him go. And if you let him go, he shows up in one of the side quests in Witcher 3, which I found was really cool.
That's a
There's,
really nice touch.
there's a lot of stuff like that carries over from the other game. And they've, like, Roach is a character that returns as well. They do a lot of fun stuff like that. So, yeah, I don't know. I really like The Witcher 3. It's even got like 2 expansions now on top of that. So there's Hearts of Stone and then Blood and Wine, which I've still not played, but I really should play at some point because I heard really good things about those as well. It's one of those, I don't know, I feel like it's an RPG, you know? It takes a lot of time. It's just one of those games.
Yeah, you should expect that out of an RPG. To be fair, seems like a strange criticism to have for an RPG.
Hmm. I just thought it was an interesting one to look at, you know?
Mm.
But that's all we can really say on that, to be honest. But you know, it's a nice little start before we start talking about Ubisoft.
Oh yes.
Oh yes, my favorite subject. So there's been a whole debacle with the Beyond Good and Evil creator, also Rayman as well. I believe he was the Rayman guy.
Oh yeah. It's funny how he keeps being billed as the Beyond Good and Evil guy. Because to me, I'm just like, oh my god, that's the guy who made Rayman. He made like
Yeah.
all of the Rayman games, the original, the 3D ones, and like he made Origins and Legends as well. So yes, pretty much every good Rayman game
Mm.
this guy's had some part in.
So there's been a few conflicting stories coming from this.
Mm.
Originally, he you know, apparently left the Beyond Good and Evil team, and that was like worrying for everyone. I was like, oh no. But we're like, I wonder if there's any shenanigans going on there. But no, he's off. He was off to go live his dream and work in and out, like have his own animal reserve. You know, do work with the animals and stuff. But
Regular
now,
Steve Irwin.
yeah. But now more stuff's come out saying that apparently he was a toxic manager, and
What? In
apparently
Ubisoft?
in
Surely
yeah,
not.
in Ubisoft, apparently there was some toxicity. Apparently, you know, he wasn't very good as a team manager and upset a lot of people at the company. So who knows? He's denied this, but from what I'm understanding, I think I read up on stuff, and it was stuff like he would just constantly berate people's work behind the back, and like throw entire projects out the window like 2 months in and stuff like that. So he was a hard man to please.
Wow, yeah, there's some like, wild interviews with staff actually. Um,
Mm.
so what one person said, he's able to explain to you that you're a genius, that your idea is great, and then disassemble you in meetings by saying you're a piece of shit, that your work is worthless, and not talk to you for a month. He's someone who has a creative process that is based on erosion of his vision and erosion of the people around him. That is pretty damning.
Yeah, it is. I don't know. I don't know what's going on at Ubisoft. Like, what are they? What training do these managers get? What? I mean, I guess the executives are over. Like, yeah, this is what you got to do, guys. Let me show you how it's done.
This might be Ubisoft. Just to play devil's advocate, it could be them trimming the fat.
Mm.
Since maybe they got rid of him. It's not clear anymore how he left exactly, is it? Since we've got two different stories. Maybe he
Yeah.
was encouraged to leave.
And then the stories came out to be like, well, he was bad. We were getting rid of him. You don't know. We don't know what's going on. Who knows what sort of company politics are occurring. But I don't know. I wouldn't surprise me if, there was some toxic behavior going on. But,
no,
yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, it's Ubisoft. Bloody Ubisoft.
Bloody Ubisoft.
Yeah, they're
Why Iota?
I don't know. They give me something every week, And as well as that, they come out and be like, guys, the Prince of Persia, the way it looks, it was a choice, okay? It was we wanted to go for a unique look, and I don't know if it looks that unique. It looks like it came out 10 years ago. Not that unique.
It does have. It just screams Xbox 360. Okay.
It does. But I don't know why they came out with this excuse of being like, well, actually, because it was set in Persia, we wanted to go for a different look, and it was an artistic choice that we made it look this way. The models just looked bad. They don't look good.
No.
Just come out and say, hey, you know what? The game's not done yet. It's not ready. We're working on the models. We're going to improve them. But no, that's probably what we'll see on launch. They'll be like, yeah, this was an artistic decision. So.
Well, we'll have the Prince of Craig. Craig the Brute stands the time.
Oh, it's gonna. I don't know. I don't care about it. I've already played Prince of Persia Sands of Time. I'm not going. I'm probably not going to pick it up. Bloody Ubisoft.
I really genuinely think the original game is beautiful enough to still stand up today. Just they could have just up-resed it, and I would have been happy with that. It still looks good because the art direction in the original game was so good that the dated graphics don't really affect it. I don't think.
Yeah, it was one of those games like PlayStation games that had like a filter over it as well, where it was like it felt like it had a filter over it, where it was like, it did look a bit grainy, if I remember. I'm trying to think. I think it was been a little while, but I think it looked a bit grainy. I'm trying to remember.
I can kind of see that in some screenshots.
Yeah. So I mean, it could have done with like a really nice looking update, but
It did have a lot of bloom in it, actually. I remember. Because, I mean, this whole idea of it being a little bit dreamlike was part of the aesthetic, to be fair.
Yeah.
They kind of tweaked it, certainly, but I still think it was a really nice looking game. And I actually think the original looks better than this remake in some ways. The model looks better. The PS2 model looks better. I'm just going to put it out there. It doesn't look great, but it looks a damn sight better than what Ubisoft can come up with now.
I'd have to like go side to side comparisons. Okay, surely it can't look better, right? It was like it came out on the PS2. How did?
It's just got that thing though, where like the way during the PS2 era, developers seem to be really good at expressing faces really well, and like the animation was so on point that it really brought up the rest of the graphics. It made the technicalities of the graphics kind of look better because the animations were so good. It didn't matter that the textures didn't look as nice.
I mean, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe they improve it. Maybe they fix it. They probably won't. It's Ubisoft, but it's a shame because it's such a good game. Like, I don't know. I loved playing that game again. It was such a good time. The banter between you and the princess. Just everything about it. It was a good time. It's a classic PlayStation game,
Absolutely.
Sad times.
Great game.
But we'll see what happens with it. We'll also see what happens with with Epic and Riot after the tick. Well, I suppose the TikTok ban has been postponed, but this is a story that I thought I'd bring in because they're looking at banning TikTok in the US right now. So they're also looking at banning other companies affiliated with Tencent, which includes Epic and Riot Games. So their eyes are now set on them. They've not specifically been like, we're going to ban these, but, clearly they're now looking at these as well and reviewing them. So it's an interesting discussion of what would happen there. I don't know if this TikTok ban thing is actually going to happen, though, because I think it was just today or maybe the day before it never got thrown out, but it was like postponed or something, so it's pushed back. So it's an interesting one because I can't see them banning Epic or Riot in the US. That's pretty big.
Find it hard to believe in general, really. It has such a big impact on both economies, I think. Certainly on both cultures.
Yeah. It's a bizarre one. It also, it gets a bit political, which we don't really delve into that much because politics, don't know much about that. Video games, though.
Yeah, politics is for boomers.
Yeah, we're not boomers. Definitely not. No.
Even though I've just put in chat that my first console was a Mega Drive, which is a little bit boomer, I'll admit.
Mine was a NES, but we won't talk about it. I'm pretty. Wouldn't surprise me if some people in chat didn't even know what a NES was at this point, or a Mega Drive. Actually, I feel like in Mega Drive they probably know even less. The NES is a bit. I feel like everyone should know what a NES is at least.
Yeah, I mean, well, they've both had re-releases recently, actually. So you may be
they had they had like there was like a mini NES, wasn't there, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough.
Mini consoles.
Yeah.
So the kids are down with it now.
They're all about Duck Hunt.
Duck Hunt doesn't work on modern TVs.
No,
can't play it anymore.
Sadly not. Can't hold the controller the gun right up to the screen and just pull the trigger over and over. Oh, that's what I missed. Those were the good old days. But yeah, I don't know. There's not much we can really say about this. It's something to just be concerned about, I guess. If anything does happen with that, we'll definitely talk about it more. But yeah, we'll see. So, other stuff that's going on. Well, actually, there was the Twitch mid-rolls, which I don't know if we spoke about on the podcast before they were removed. I don't know if we got to talk about them before they were removed. Did we talk about that the week before? No?
No, they weren't around for that podcast. We spoke about them during our Crusader King stream because we had to do them during that stream, didn't we? But yeah, we've not spoken about it on the podcast.
Yeah, so what Twitch decided to do was they decided, hey, you know what? We don't make a profit, so we should probably start running mid-roll ads on streams because they have been trying to encourage streamers to run mid-roll ads for a while now. They're like, listen, here's a button for it. If you do this, it'll disable pre-roll ads for a while. So, and then there's like, they've even tried offering contracts to like bigger streamers to be like, you play an ad every, every like 30 minutes or at certain times. But a lot of people have just flat out denied them, being like, no, I'd rather not. But they just decided, you know what? Let's test it out. Let's test it, and we'll just throw it in and make people have to have mid-roll ads. So they're forced upon people. We didn't get like a timer for anything because it wasn't properly implemented. But essentially now, at some point throughout the stream, a mid-roll ad could have played, but they did remove it a few days after because there was a lot of backlash, and it was only a test. I think it'll be back personally.
Oh yeah, they've just got to find a way to make it work without being that inconvenient because it was stressful for us.
Yeah.
It really was. Like, you had to be constantly thinking about it. And it's tough because like, I think, was it every 45 minutes? It was around
It was something
that
like that, yeah.
ballpark, wasn't it? Yeah, which I can see for some streams that makes sense. That's a good place to put it. But obviously everyone streams for different amounts of times. And when you're streaming games, podcast is relatively short at about 2 hours, but otherwise you stream for 3 or 4 hours, and every 45 minutes is like going to be 5 or 6 ads per stream. It's just
Yeah.
a lot.
So I think the idea is they want like 5% of your stream to be ads, essentially.
Hmm.
So it's one of those things where I think they probably do need it to try and turn a profit as a company, because I don't believe Twitch turn a profit right now. YouTube didn't turn a profit for a long, long time. It's just one of those things with sites like this that produce content, and I feel like streaming's a whole different ballpark as well. Like, they may have the subs and the bits and stuff that they try and pull revenue from, but I still don't think they probably turn a profit just yet, because they're still too small, I think. Like, of course they are backed by Amazon, but Amazon give them a budget, I'm sure, and they're like, hey, if you don't meet this, then, no good, no bueno. But, I don't know, they have to do something about, like, it's hard because I think there's going to be backlash against it either way. My take on it is they just, like, I think they're gonna implement it anyway. I think it's gonna happen in some format, but people are just gonna have to deal with it. And I think they need to put in some sort of timer. They need a way to let us know exactly when it's gonna happen, if they can do that. And then I can go with my method, of which I crafted one of those nights that the ads were running, and I made my own ad to play during the ad. So I just pause the stream, take a minute break, and play an ad that I've already got prepared, which makes fun of Twitch a little bit, and then also plugs my Twitch Prime and my Twitch sub. Which I thought
was clever.
It was a fun way to do it, and as a streamer, I think that's the best way around it. I've tried to rack my brain around thinking of other ways to do it, but I think that was it. Because it's either that or you sit there and go, okay, we're just gonna wait for this ad to be over, guys, and then we'll get back to actually doing what we're doing.
Enjoy the pause screen.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a good reward, is it, for people who are subscribed? You're basically punishing them in a way. That's really more. It's less interesting than an advert, because we'll just be sat there like.
Yeah. Like, I think the like video ads is it's kind of like a reward, because I tried to made them a little goofy, a little fun, and I am working on more of them, so I'm gonna have a rotation of them that I'll play anyway, because I just think they're fun to do. But yeah, it's either that, or I guess you could literally just have a screen that is, it takes, like, somehow takes the last frame of your stream and then just puts a pause, like, overlay on it, and you just hit a button and it'll just pause on that last frame, and then you could unpause when the ad's over.
That'd be cool. Good opportunities there for some really big mug shots.
Definitely. Of course, it would probably still, it'd be a minute of nothing, so it'd probably still be pretty boring for people, but it's a funny idea. But, yeah, I don't know, we'll see. The Twitch mid-rolls are coming back. I guarantee it's going to come back in some form, or there'll just be more ads on Twitch. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. And I'm sure it's going to make a lot of people upset. Go on.
I don't necessarily have a problem with it either, because they do need to make money. It's just, it's so hard to not make it obtrusive.
Especially with a live show, because, with YouTube it's fine, because you're not missing anything. If a mid-roll plays, it pauses the video. If it's a stream, the stream is still going while you're watching that ad, and you're missing out. And like, if it's a I don't know, if it's like a really epic moment on stream, or you're on like the last boss, and then a mid-roll ad just plays, and you're just like, and then it cuts back to just after the boss is over. They're like, we did it, guys. We beat the game. It's like, oh, well, I've just missed out on that moment, so now I've got to go back and watch it in the VOD, or watch a clip.
Yeah, that's it. They can't have things like that. It would ruin Twitch if they did. So I don't know how they'd fix it though. So I don't envy them.
No, I honestly don't know how they'd fix it either. So all I can my solution's the only one that I can think of for the moment. Sure, someone else will come up with something. Who knows? But yeah, that's all we can really say on Twitch mid-roll ads, I suppose. Should we talk a little bit about Halo? We like talking about Halo here.
Yeah, go on. Let's talk about Halo.
I was gonna let you just continue there. I just want. It sounds great. I'm sure people would be able to tell that was the Halo theme out of context.
I was definitely in key.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Halo. What do you want to talk about?
So Microsoft pretty much came out and they were talking about how they don't need Halo as a launch title, which is it's something we've talked about in the past as well, when they said it wasn't going to be a launch title because they pushed it back, and then we were actually talking about how essentially it hasn't really been a launch title for a while, so it's no shock that they don't feel the need to have it as a launch title. I feel like we've also spoken about this before. I don't know if this was off
we
podcast.
Definitely have. I think it was. I think it might have been on the podcast, honestly. But I think it's silly because you can tell that they obviously really did want it to be
Yeah.
A launch style because they were clearly pushing it out the door, and it feels a little bit dishonest when it's obvious that they've really been pushing all the people in 343 and probably putting them under a lot of stress just to suddenly go, oh, we don't need that at launch, after they've put everyone through all of that. I feel like I'm extra conscious of this now after the things we've heard this year in the games industry. But I'm like, well, they've just crunched for all that for no reason,
And they'll be crunching again when it comes round. Don't you worry.
Yes.
Gotta get
multiple
every
release
minute out of them.
Means multiple crunch periods.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's probably true, isn't it? But yeah, I don't know. I think you said something along the line of Microsoft's independent. I don't forget what you said in response to this when we first put it up. But it was, I don't know. It was a while ago we spoke about this, to be honest. But yeah, they don't need Halo as a launch title. I don't think they do, especially with what they're the games they're lining up for their console. But we'll talk about that in a bit. So, just catching up on last week's news here for the most part, because now we get to talk about the PS5, because that was last week. PS5 was last week. I'm actually going to pull up this article so I can have the list here to look at, because there's quite a bit. So,
oh man, that show was really interesting though.
It was a very interesting show, and they immediately, there was a video on there that played the second I opened it.
Yeah, I just got that.
But yeah, immediately they opened up with Final Fantasy 16, and I was like, they opened with Final Fantasy 16, and I was having a good time.
Yeah, you knew it was going to be a good show when that appeared.
Yeah. But it was one of those things where I almost immediately knew when it was like, the trailer starts off with him being like, the target's the Shiva's dominant. I was like, it's Final Fantasy, here we go. Let's go.
Oh yeah, I must have missed that they mentioned Shiva then. Because for a while I was looking at it. Oh right, that must have kind of just went over my head because I was looking at the aesthetic of it all, and how like gritty and very Western styled and very medieval it is. I was looking at it and I was like, I don't know what this is, and then like a character appeared.
The chocobos, I assume, got you.
I mean, it was obviously the chocobos made me realize it was Final Fantasy, but like one character appeared who looked like Jaime Lannister, and I was like, is it a Game of Thrones game? And then the chocobos appeared, and I was like, oh yes, it's Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah. So, I believe this game's actually got a mature rating as well.
So. if it's provisional at the minute, yeah, it's not confirmed, but it's currently slated to get a mature rating. Yeah, so that's
which
interesting.
that is very interesting.
Mm,
And yeah, so it's medieval. It looks like
mhm.
medieval England sort of setting. It's got that kind of vibe to it, which
Very old school Final Fantasy setting.
I mean, we've not seen something like that in a while. Definitely not in one of the 3D ones. So,
I think 9 might be the last one like that. Because the rest of them have had some
mm,
kind of steampunk elements or just straight up modern technology.
yeah. But it's really cool to see them go with this setting, and
Mm.
I'm excited. Yeah, it's gonna be a good time. I'm very excited for this. When it comes out in like 5 years' time, I'm gonna be enjoying Final Fantasy 16.
No,
'Cause-
well, it's actually already been in development for 4 years, hasn't it? So they're
oh,
saying
how long
that
was
it's
Final Fantasy
actually
15 in development though?
no, but that was an exception,
Okay,
wasn't
yeah,
it?
yeah, yeah. Okay.
Like, assuming that it doesn't get completely scrapped and rebuilt from the ground up, like some Final Fantasies, like some of them do that, so it's a possibility. But they're saying that it's been in development for 4 years and that it's pretty much done now. So we'll probably get it in the next, I'd say, 18 months, maybe.
That's wishful thinking, but
Mm,
I'm a wishful boy.
I like learnt their lesson from 15. I
Yeah.
mean, 13 had a very long drawn out development cycle as well, and that also suffered for it. So surely they must have noticed the trend by now.
Well, I mean, we'll see, but it was surprising to see this. I feel like Final Fantasy 15 wasn't that long ago. Maybe how long? When did 15 come out?
It was a while ago now, actually. I think this
It was
game's been in development
4 years.
from, yeah,
2016,
I
I
think it
think.
actually is 4 years. Because that was my first thought when I heard that they've been doing it for 4 years. I was like, well, they must have started it when 15 ended then. Yeah, 2016. So that's a 4-year-old game now.
Oh, it's good. It's a good thing I could just pull the dates from the back of my head somewhere. But yeah, I really enjoyed 15. I know it wasn't. I know it was like some people didn't like it, mostly because it did feel rushed towards the end. I'll definitely give people that, but I enjoyed it, and
It's
I'm a big Final Fantasy fan. We know that.
Oh yeah, well we both are.
Yeah,
We definitely both are. Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely excited for more. And like, if it can build off what 15 started, then it will be amazing. Because 15 is like one of the most charming games I've ever played. Like, it's just got so much heart,
mm,
and I love that part of it. It is just the rushed part. It doesn't come together as a game, but it's
yeah.
so much fun to just experience. Um, so
Like
if they can build off that and make something similar to that, but like, polished, then
yeah, the
oh,
tone looks very different in comparisons for 16. We don't. I feel like we don't know anything about the characters yet, though,
no, we
because
don't.
from what I gathered from the end of the trailer, it looks like we'll be playing two sides of a war.
Mm,
We'll be
does seem
playing,
that way.
yeah. So I don't really know how it's gonna go, and we don't really get an idea of any of the companion characters we'd have. It looked like you were alone in one of them as well. That could just be very early on in the game, because
Possibly, yeah, yeah.
one of the characters was fighting this massive monster in a swamp looking thing.
Mm,
But yeah, I don't know. I'm excited for it. I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes.
mm. It's gonna have a totally different tone as well, which I can't wait to see.
Mm,
Like, it's it looks to be more inspired by the modern Western fantasy style, where it's quite gritty and adult.
yeah,
I'm getting kind of Witcher or Game of Thrones vibes from it,
a lot
which
of
is
people
very
said
cool. That's
Witcher.
so different. Yeah, that especially Witcher. But I'm just getting a completely different vibe from the typical anime style of Final Fantasy, because
Mm,
it's done medieval fantasy before. Like 12 was a very kind of medieval, typical kingdoms and fairies style setting, but it was a very Japanese interpretation of it. But this seems to be
yeah,
very Western in its style.
yeah. It definitely does have that going for it. I did see a lot of people say Witcher. I actually didn't immediately pick up on Witcher. But I just it was this Western medieval setting is what I got from it.
Mm.
But yeah, I feel like it probably will be more mature. But at the same time, I think it is gonna have the Final Fantasy nonsense. I'm getting that already. I feel like it's gonna have that.
I hope it does. I wouldn't want it to go
Yeah.
entirely.
Yeah, I think there's gonna be a lot more of that than we saw in this trailer. I feel like this is just the first of what we're gonna be seeing. Because I mean, they do need. I'm hoping they have a really good cast of characters as well. Because the interactions between all the characters in 15 was really cool. I think that's a big
definitely the
part
best
of it.
part of that game.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm hoping they have that. Which so far we have not really. It doesn't. It looks like there's only 2 characters. That's the impression it's given. But who knows? We'll have to see. But
I don't know much at all yet. So
no. But after that, we had the Spider-Man game show up. Miles showed up in a suit, and he's looking pretty cool. He's got... I don't know anything about him as a character in the comics, but he has really cool abilities, which I think are from the comics as well. He has, like, lightning powers. I don't know, there's some stuff going on there, and he can also turn invisible. There's a lot of more fun mechanics that they can play around with, essentially.
definitely.
It does look like the same. It does look like the same game as the other Spider-Man. It's just like, it's got more to it. So
Yeah, they've. It's just They have got to kind of make it more interesting though, I think, because the biggest
yeah,
problem with the original Spider-Man game is it did get old really fast. That open world did not have much for you to actually do in. Um, so hopefully they can build on what they had and make the side stuff a bit more interesting.
yeah. I think the main story was the strongest part of the Spider-Man game because it was pretty well written. I actually really enjoyed the story.
Mm.
Everyone was
Oh
really
yeah,
well.
the actual
Yeah.
definitely the main story was really interesting. It was just the side stuff I just thought was um
Mm,
tough, and it's one of those games where you can't do the main story without going off and doing the side stuff and leveling up your character
yeah.
and then coming back. So if you're going to force me to do the side content, please make it good.
Yeah, I feel like they've got so much potential for like a big cast of characters that they could have in like the side quests as well. If you want to make it
Yeah,
interesting. But I remember they did have stuff that was like, hey, go spread this gas around the city or like carry this gas. Or there was some stuff like that, if I recall. That was just like,
yeah, that's exactly that sort of thing. It took away from it, which is a shame because it is a really good game in other parts of it. The main story missions are amazing and they're so well scripted and they've got such interesting ideas and cool characters because I just love the villains in Spider-Man. Love the
yeah.
villains.
I mean, Doc Ock in that game was he was a really good character. Like that was so well
Yeah.
written. Yeah. So I did enjoy that. The writing's probably going to be really good in this one as well. We did have him, do a Spider-Man 2 and hold the bridge together. At one point, he had, he did the thing where he was like, I'm going to web both sides and be like, that was there.
Obligatory.
Yeah, got to have that in.
Oh yeah.
So that was good to see. But yeah, we'll see what happens with that. There is one thing to note about a lot of these games I don't think we've mentioned, but a lot of these are going to be like $70. There's been a lot of talk about next gen games being $70 now, which is don't like
100% do not agree with that at all. Do you want to
Yeah.
talk about that? Should we talk about that now?
I think
Or-
I just think we just get into that now because this wasn't on
Yeah.
the list, but I've just thought of it now as we're talking. I'm like, let's just go on. I'll let you. You feel I can sense the rage.
Fuck this so hard. So hard. It's just the cheek of it. It's just it's the fact that they're going to argue that games are more expensive to make now, guys, and it's so difficult to make ends meet. But the fact them raising the prices is not going to stop them from gouging you in the microtransaction store as well. It's
Mm,
greed. There's just so much greed and money in gaming now. I think it's just I'm not going to be paying that because they're talking £70 as well. I don't know if you've noticed that. Whereas it's $70, which would
yeah.
make it about £60 for us, which we already do pay for some games actually. But no, they're actually talking about bringing it up to £70, which is more like
Mm,
75 to $80. And like
I'm
so for us, that is
never
way too
paying
much
that for
money.
a game.
No, never. Like, I'm just not gonna buy anything, unless it's on sale or secondhand, if it comes to that. Um, I still think the only games where I'd pay full price, and I'd even consider paying that much for 'em, would be Nintendo games, because at least those games aren't buggy. You don't have to patch the hell out of them. They will, when they're released, they will work for the most part.
They
Um,
just work.
and you know that you're gonna get a complete experience. There's no microtransactions in like a AAA Nintendo game. I mean, there's microtransactions out the years in
Mm,
free Nintendo games, but if you pay for one, there's none. It's
yeah.
very old school in that way, and I'll happily put a lot of money down for that, for a complete experience. I'm not putting £70 down to get access to a microtransaction store, because you know that's what's going to happen here.
Yeah.
And it angers me, not so much for us, because
Don't
we're,
forget your pre-order bonus.
oh, don't. No, it doesn't anger me as much, for us, because we're like core gamers. Um, it won't actually affect us as much as the casual gamers, and it just angers me that
The casuals.
they're going to be asking the bro gamer market, to spend £70 and $70
And they
on
will.
FIFA or Madden or whatever, and they will, and then they'll spend another £100 or dollars, maybe even
Yep.
more, on Ultimate Team,
Gotta get
and that's why
those
I'm
cards.
incredibly greedy. I fucking hate this. Don't vote with your wallets. Don't let this continue. This is
Yeah.
bullshit, and don't let them do it.
I couldn't say it better myself. But
I
Tef,
hate it
back
so
in my
much.
day, games cost that much. Games were really expensive back in my day, Tef.
Yeah, and you got full experience for it, didn't you? Not like you do now. Half a game. Half
Unfortunately.
of it's on a disc, the other half you got to download.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. I think it's probably just gonna happen. Big games.
Yeah.
There'll be some games that aren't that much, but I think there's gonna be companies that do push that quite a bit, which is unfortunate.
Hmm.
But yeah, we'll get back to the PlayStation conference then. So after Spider-Man, well, I think this article actually takes out some of the other games, in like the smaller games in between. But the big one was Hogwarts Legacy was one that showed up.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, another game that will give money to J.K. Rowling.
Oh man, there's been so many
That I've seen, yeah.
articles about people like going back and forth on whether she's actually going to make money on this, and it's funny because everyone's chatting out their ass. No one knows
Yeah.
whether she's going to make money or not. But it it really shows the impact she's had on people, that it's making people double take on whether to buy this, which is a shame because it looks great, and I'm sure
Mm.
plenty of people have worked on this. None of them were J.K. Rowling. She didn't actually work on this at all, not even as a consultant of any
No,
kind.
yeah. They had to
So
clarify that.
yeah, they did. They did. They made that very clear because they were obviously worried that it was going to affect sales. They're like, she's not
Mm.
even a consultant. Um, so it just looks really good, and so many other people were involved in making this, and it'd be a shame if their vision didn't come to light because of the stupid things that she said. But at the same time, I can understand not wanting to give her more money, and it's ultimately. See, it's kind of, it's her property, but it's also not her property because she doesn't own the media rights. Um,
I
and
assume she'll get like some sort of royalty fee
she must
from
do,
it.
surely. And this is
Yeah.
the argument. Although technically Warner Brothers own the game rights and the movie rights, she must make money off it. Because I refuse to believe that she made as much money as she did off purely book sales. She must have made a decent chunk of that money off the movies as well,
Oh
surely.
yeah.
So there must be some kind of tie up between her and Warner Brothers. And it's depressing. It looks, it looks incredible though. It's the Harry Potter game that myself and basically every Harry Potter fan's always wanted. A
Yeah.
full on RPG in that world where you can explore the whole world. It just sounds amazing to me.
Yeah, it's what it's like the Chamber of Secrets game was like the peak of Harry Potter games for me. Like I
Mm,
loved playing that game, and this is like the next step in what that could have been. You know, this is like the next gen version of that.
definitely.
But it
Yeah,
even
it's
goes out into like the world as well. It's like it's beyond the castle, which is cool.
Yeah, 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 and they show Hogsmeade, which is the village outside the castle, isn't it? Which is
Mm,
cool. Hopefully, you can go even further than that because Hogsmeade isn't actually it's not expanding the world very much. Hogsmeade is literally like right outside Hogwarts gates. But um, if you could kind of go to other places as well, that would be really, really cool. Well, we'll have to see just how open world it is. Um,
yeah, it's gonna be an interesting one. It does. It wasn't really specified what it was, but it does look like it's just an RPG. You can create your own wizard and go on in and just
it has
play
been
like,
confirmed.
yeah. There was a few
That,
people that thought it might be an MMO or something, which would be a bit wacky. Imagine an MMO for, I don't know how. I feel like I don't know how that would work.
no, that'd be very strange. Yeah,
Hmm.
the trailer didn't make it clear. In terms of the gameplay, what it was. It was just it was more of a spectacle, wasn't it? But it's being confirmed in like press releases later down the line that it is an open world RPG.
Yeah. So I mean that's the impression I got from the trailer, but I know there were people questioning it. So
Yeah, I
yeah.
wasn't sure if it was going to be an RPG or whether it's just like an action adventure. It didn't make that part of it 100% clear.
Mm. Yeah. So I mean, it does look cool. It's set in 1800s, I think. So it's set way before. So it's like a different time period as well, which is interesting. But yeah, that is Hogwarts Legacy. Um, Other than that, we also got a little look at the Demon Souls remake once again. They showed off quite a bit of gameplay for that, and the game looks good. I would like to play the Demon Souls remake. I never got the chance to play the original Demon Souls because I feel like a lot of people didn't. It was
Yeah, yeah,
went under the radar for a lot of people, and then Dark Souls came around.
yeah.
But
This remake is it's a stroke of genius, really,
mm,
because there's so many people just like you.
yeah, I feel like there's a lot of people that are like super into Dark Souls,
Mm.
but they missed out on Demon Souls, and it's hard to go back and actually play it. So yeah, this is cool to see. Again, I mean, all they show off is like really over-leveled guy walking through and just hitting a bunch of the guys over and over, and then he gets to the boss and of course dies because Dark Souls. Because Dark Souls, and you must die in Dark Souls. That is how the game works.
That was an odd way to advertise the game, I thought, because he one hit kills everything leading up to the boss.
Yeah,
And I was watching it thinking, Is this Dark Souls? What's going on?"
mm. Yeah. It's one of those things where it's like, I get they probably wanted it to look smooth instead of some guy fumbling through the game. But I still don't like the whole docs the market thing for the Souls games where it's like, hey, these are the Souls games. You die a lot, by the way. These games are very hard. I don't like
Prepare
them.
to die.
Yeah, they're prepared to die. I don't know because I actually don't think they're super hard games, but a lot of
Yeah,
people,
it does oversell it a little bit, doesn't it?
yeah,
I think.
and then a lot of people will play the games and then they'll be like, they'll go in with that impression, and when they die, they'll get frustrated and be like, well, I'm not playing this. There's a lot of people who rage at the game and stuff because it's like ingrained in them that this game is hard and you will die, and if you're not good enough. And I think that's a thing that puts a lot of people off the series, which is a shame because I really enjoy it. That's why I wish they'd just back away from that. I don't know. I don't know if that's just me, but
I don't know if I agree with that. I feel like making it clear what you're getting yourself in for puts you in the right frame of mind. If you're expecting to die a lot, then it's gonna upset you less when you do die. It's my
knowing
way of
knowing
saying it.
people that have picked up the game, knowing that they very quickly dropped it. And they were like,
Mm,
yeah, I've known a few people who's like, well, I'm just not good enough at the game. It's too hard for me.
get good, noob.
Yeah, I mean, the get good meme was very strong in Dark Souls.
I think I've mentioned it before on this podcast, but like my main issue with Dark Souls isn't so much the difficulty; it's the fact that it's a hard game that uh, is it punishes you too much for dying. Like I always believe that if
I
a game is really really hard and expects you to die, it should not punish you for dying. And I think it's just because I compare it too much to games like Celeste and Super Meat Boy, where you die and it's like bam, you're back, you get another chance
Mm.
immediately. And it's just, I feel like Dark
I
Souls, it's it's like, ha, you died. It's like, well, yeah, it's Dark Souls.
I I actually don't. I don't know if it's just because I played so much. I don't think it punishes you that hard, honestly. Oh, the big punishments is if you die a second time, it takes your souls away that you've gained. But you can easily just run up to it and get it before you die again. If you do die again, that's the only real punishment. If you die a second time after dying the first time and not picking up your blood pool. Like, other than that, yeah, it does have stuff where it's like you lose a bit of health, but that health is like 2 hits typically. It's like you can take an extra 2 hits, and I don't think it's that much. Because
I still think that's such an odd move, though. That is such an odd move to kind of hobble you for dying in a game where it's expected that you die. This is what I mean. Usually in these games where they expect you to die a lot, there isn't really any punishment for actually dying. It's just you've got to have another go. The fact that they punish you for dying in a game where you are supposed to die, it just doesn't make any sense to me. I think that is going to be more what puts people off rather than the fact that it's hard. I think people are happy to accept if a game's hard if it feels like they can just jump straight back in and they don't feel like the game's putting barriers up when every time they fail.
I still don't think there is it like punishes you that hard, honestly. Like I'm trying to remember what the punishment in Dark Souls 1 is. I don't even know if there is like a big punishment for dying in Dark Souls 1.
To be fair, the first game isn't as bad. It was more like the first one I played was Dark Souls 3, and that one does um it lowers the cap on your health when you die. Although at
So
least the first time you die, so I thought that was a bit
so
cheeky. First
how
game's not
that
so bad for it.
how that works is that's the Ember system that they've got in that game, and essentially when you have an Ember, you're vulnerable to PvP, so PvP can happen when that's on. So dying is actually, for just casual players, that's kind of a good thing because you're not going to get invaded and killed. But it only gives you like an extra 2 hits that you can take when you've got that on, and you light up as well. You're a little bright, which is the only reason I have the embers on. Otherwise, I don't care personally. But I don't know. I still don't think the punishment is that hard. I don't know if this is just me knowing that I've played a lot of Dark Souls and I understand how it works. But Dark Souls 2, I believe, slowly decreases your health. Like, it takes very tiny bits off each time you die, but then you can use a humanity to restore it. I don't remember if Dark Souls 1 did that as well. I don't remember if Dark Souls 1 was the same. I remember it had humanities, but I don't know.
I don't think I had anything like that from the little amount that I've played of it. So I bought Dark Souls 1, didn't I, a few months ago? Like, I want to give Dark Souls another go, and I just, heck, it's not for me. I just don't enjoy it.
Yeah, I still think part of the marketing is people go in with this expectation that it's a hardcore game, and that you're gonna die a lot and the game's hard, and if you can't do it, you're just not good enough. There's the get good mentality, which I don't know. I think that takes a lot of people away from the game. That's just me, having a lot of experience with the Souls games.
I can tell. Should we keep going? We're at the 2-hour mark. We should.
We are. Oh no. Yeah, we did say this was going to be an extra long episode, and I got a little passionate about Souls there. My bad. We'll continue onwards. So, one of the last big reveals of the show was God of War sequel was teased at the very end. Ragnarok. So there's nothing to really say about that. I've actually not played the first God of War, which
I've never played any of them. Can't say anything about this.
I don't know. I actually really do want to play the other one. Like maybe when the PS5 comes out, maybe I'll play it, because they have the PlayStation Plus collection, which was a big thing they announced, where it's gonna have pretty much all the big major games from the last generation are all gonna be on there.
First party.
Yeah, all the first party ones, they're all gonna be on there, and it's gonna be an added bonus to PlayStation Plus, which is cool.
Very cool.
and it actually
That's
makes me be like, I
yeah,
might want to get it just to be
yeah,
able to go back and play those ones. Like Last Guardian,
definitely.
God of War are like the two that I'm like really interested in
Mm.
going back and playing. I'm trying to think of more. I'm sure there's more,
I
but
think there was quite a lot, wasn't there? There were loads that you will have missed, surely.
yeah, I definitely did miss out on that, and like God of War, Last Guardian especially, I really want to try.
Oh yes, good game.
That's that's
You will
definitely
love it.
something. Yeah, I mean, I loved Eco as well, and Shadow of the Colossus. I'm all about that. But yeah, not much to say on that other than hey, that's pretty cool. So let's talk about price. The price was revealed in the most dramatic way possible. So it's it's matched the price of the Xbox at least.
hmm
So we're at $500, $499. So and the digital version is $399. So that's interesting. There is $100 difference there. If you want to just pick up the digital version, you can, you know, cut out the disc drive, get it for a lot cheaper. But I don't know. They're definitely competing. This is pretty good for them. Are you going to be picking up a PlayStation 5, Tef?
I mean, I'm still gonna stick to PS5. I think because I'm too much of a weeb to to have an Xbox. Sadly, I need my Persona fix. But it's been a while now. It's not so fresh in my mind. But I'm sure here in the UK we're paying more than most other countries are for the PlayStation, which is a shame. I think it's going to
Hmm.
cost me more to get a PS5 than it would be to get a Series X, which is a damn shame, especially since the Series X is actually a bit more powerful. I think it's a tiny bit more powerful, and it's got a bigger SSD in it. It's got I'd say significantly bigger because I think it's 3/4 of a terabyte in in the PS5, and it's a whole terabyte in the Xbox. Honestly, the Xbox seems like the obvious choice in every way, except it's not going to have all the games I want to play. But besides
Hmm.
that, in every other way, like with Game Pass, which I would pay for if I had an Xbox as well, and the way the backwards compatibility works, and just how nice the console looks, it's just all of it looks better, honestly, except for the fact that they don't have Persona.
I like
Although
how
they
the
do have
PlayStation
Yakuza now.
looks. I'm putting that. I like how the PlayStation looks.
It's
I
disgusting.
I enjoy it. That's gonna be a mantelpiece for me.
It's so gross. I don't like it.
But I'll be honest, yeah, I am stuck in between him of like I actually like I really want the PlayStation 5, but also the Xbox is it's pretty convincing, but also at the same time I feel like everything that's going to be on Xbox is going to be on PC anyway. So I'm not too
Mm,
worried about picking up an Xbox. A lot of PlayStation
that's your
stuff is
problem.
also going to be on PC, so I don't know,
But
we'll
only
see.
like 3 years after it comes out,
Yeah.
which is the major difference from Xbox, isn't it really?
Yeah. Um
Mm.
there was a few other things that happened in the PlayStation show. There was Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition. Virgil is in the Virgil theme. Just go listen to the Virgil theme. It is very good. It is 9 minutes of just ooh. It's like I think everyone's describing it as Metal Gear Rising soundtrack, and Doom had a baby, and it sounds very nice. It is such a good time. But yeah, there was that. There was another trailer for Resident Evil. We got to see more
Oh yeah.
Chris being potentially bad guy, but probably not. And then we got a big Deathloop trailer as well, and Deathloop looks like so much fun. I actually
Looks
really
good.
want to play Deathloop. I'm all about it. And then we also got Oddworld again, which
Mm.
it was just more of the same of Oddworld, I suppose. Wasn't
It,
anything
it,
too stands out too much.
it's beginning to get a little bit strange with Soulstorm. Honestly, they keep showing very similar trailers. I
Yeah.
feel like for the past like over a year, I think now they've been showing these trailers, and the game has always it looks the same. it's
Yeah.
not changing much. Like, is it not finished yet? It looks like it's been in the final stages of development for well over a year now. They keep tweaking little things because some people were complaining about the art style. So there's been little tweaks to the art style here and there. But besides that, the game looks finished. When is it coming out? I don't get it.
Tef just wants to play Oddworld. Let him.
I actually
Let him
don't. I
have it.
don't like the look of this one at all. I'm
You
probably
don't
gonna
like
skip
it?
this
No.
one, honestly. It's too fast paced. This was a problem with the remake, the New and Tasty, is what that was like the remake of the first game
Mm.
as well. That they made that too fast paced. Like Oddworld is meant to be very slow and deliberate, and they've turned it into this like Sonic the Hedgehog style,
Gotta go fast.
and I know that they've put crafting in it, which is just no,
Crafting. You
no.
could have that in
I
video games now. If your game doesn't have
I'm
crafting, is it really a video game?
I'm just so sick of it. It's just so boring when every game does it.
You know what that reminds me? I actually forgot about one game that I did play this week. That's fine. I can talk about it another time.
All right.
But yeah. Other than that, we also had another Call of Duty trailer. Didn't really care. Call of Duty.
No.
Showed off the single player campaign. Oh boy. Five Nights at Freddy's. Another Five Nights at Freddy's game.
Another one. Number 12. Whatever.
I think there's like 15 games now. Five Nights at Freddy's. Something ridiculous.
I totally lost track now.
I mean, he has milked the series dry.
Oh yeah.
It's not done yet. Apparently, I thought he was done. I don't know, 10 games ago.
This is the 8th one. Well, I mean, I think
There's been a lot of side games as well.
Yeah, the mainline games have been done for like 4 years now, I think. But yeah, there's just a bajillion side games that he's made instead. So
There's a ton.
I kind of I appreciate Five Nights at Freddy's. It's not really. I don't enjoy playing it or anything like that. To be honest, it's not really for me. It's way too tense for me. It's just uncomfortably tense as far as I'm concerned. But I don't know. It's got charm. I think, and the fact that
I think
it's
the
just made by
lore and
this one
stuff behind
guy,
it has the charm. Like, it's got this background story that's
definitely.
neat. But
He's put a lot of effort into it, definitely.
I think eventually, once you get the gimmick of the game, a lot of the FNAF games are just stressful. It's like, ugh, gotta micromanage all this stuff. And then, big spooky scary robot. I guess I messed up.
Or maybe not, because sometimes they'll just show up regardless.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, this one looks 3D. It looks like I don't know. It's probably not gonna be like you walk through a place. I think it's probably gonna be stationary like the rest of the games. Wouldn't surprise me.
Could see that.
But yeah, I think that was it for the most part. I don't think there was anything else big from that. But yeah, that's the PlayStation conference. There was then also the PlayStation pre-orders that occurred afterwards, and the Xbox ones as well. They actually all turned into a big disaster with everyone
it's the
trying
same
to get.
Story both ways.
Yeah, everyone trying to get. Go on.
You can actually roll the GeForce RTX 3000 series in with that because they had the same issue too, all at once. Across, it unified everyone: PC, Xbox, PlayStation. Everyone had a bad time trying to pre-order the new next big thing.
Yeah, the scalpers just got in there, like, and here we go. Got as many as they could. You had sites just crashing and going down, and then there were people also buying with the Xbox. There were people buying Xbox One X's and stuff instead of the Xbox X series.
Oh yeah. Well, that was bound to happen, surely.
So that one was pretty funny, you know. I'm probably not funny for the people that are like, oh, this is not the console I was supposed to get my child for Christmas. What a shame. But
kids crying on Christmas morning. This isn't what I wanted. I don't even understand how they managed to sell so many, considering the One X got discontinued like 6 months ago, didn't it? So I'm surprised there's still that many in stock. Apparently there is.
There's just a big stock of them back there, and Amazon is just like, gotta ship these bad boys out.
Ironically, I think the reason they discontinued the One X is so that it didn't confuse people too much. It didn't muddle up
I think that's
and that backfired clearly.
didn't help at all for whatever reason. But yeah, it's been a disaster with all of that. There's a lot of people that have been getting the wrong orders, and then there's people now. There's a recent story about people now actually being told that they're probably not getting the console, or they're not getting it on time. You know, there's a lot of stuff like that happening. So, been a bit of a disaster. I mean,
just a bit.
I don't remember if it was this bad last generation. I feel like it probably was.
I don't know. I did get one. I did get a PS4 on launch, but I didn't handle the pre-orders. I don't remember having that
I
much of
don't
an
remember
issue.
it be that bad, no.
Like, I didn't do it myself though. I got my dad to do it because I was like 18, 17, maybe at the time. So like, my dad did it for me, but I don't remember him having any trouble. I think the thing is, that it's definitely different this time, and the fact that it's happened across the board on all
Oh,
platforms as
especially
well.
with what's going on in the
Yeah,
world.
it's obviously a production problem, isn't it? Which
Mm.
is it's gonna be a problem for a while, I imagine. It's a shame. It's gonna be tough to get a new Xbox or a PlayStation for a while, or indeed a GeForce card.
Yeah. I'm still looking at the 3070 and just being like, oh, I want you in my machine.
Yeah, man. Oh, the 3070 and the 3080 are both really good value for money.
Yeah. I'm probably gonna end up picking one up eventually one day. But yeah, that is it for the PlayStation conference, and that is that for last week's news.
Oh my god, is that only last week's news?
That's only last week's. I've actually cut it a little short on the news this week. I've only pulled out the big topics for the most part.
Like we're 15 minutes over time and we're not even hit today.
It's okay. It's okay. It's a good thing we cut the what we've been playing this week a little shorter than usual. But yeah, one of the big ones is Amazon, and I'll finally answering the question of what is cloud gaming with their own cloud's gaming service called Luna. So this one's interesting. This is gonna, funnily enough, it's on all devices but Androids, but I heard they may be compatible with that as well eventually. And so essentially gonna be able to stream a lot of big titles on there. They're all last generation ones though, for the most part, from what I've seen in the list. Resident Evil 7 was a big prominent one, I believe, that they mention.
That's a very old game now.
Yeah.
That's weird to have as your kind of the jewel in your crown, isn't it? There's a game from like 4 years ago.
I would need to look at the list, but there was more they mentioned, but that was like one of the big ones that I saw stood out. I might scroll down and look.
It's definitely an odd. Okay, they're really odd. So we got Resi 2, Control. Control's quite new. Fair play.
Controller's new.
Yeah,
Panzer Dragoon.
Panzer Dragoon. Is that the new one that's coming out? Is that even out yet?
I assume so. Yeah, it's such a mismatch of games, isn't it?
And you've got like a lot of sort of indie or mid-tier games.
There's
like
the Surge 2.
Grid, Surge 2, yeah, Ukulele, Abzu, Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons, mostly like indie or like Grid. I'd say Codemasters games are one of those rare kind of double A, middle of the ground level games. They're not really, haven't really got the
Surge 2 is definitely one of those mid-range games as well. Like, it's such a weird, I don't know, mismatch of games. I feel like neither of Microsoft or PlayStation want to be throwing out any big exclusives on a platform like that, do they?
Oh wait, hang on. But we do have a exclusive partnership with.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get to that.
Okay, so you're lying through your teeth then. Basically, they actually do have an ace up their sleeve.
Well, here's the thing. They also have Ubisoft, but that's a separate subscription.
Oh.
I believe. So it's a separate subscription channel. So because of course Ubisoft are like, hey, well, yeah, but you only get this on one device instead of the two. And it's gonna have Valhalla, Far Cry 6, and like those new titles on there. But this is, it seems weird. It's just weird that the only people on board with this is Ubisoft.
Yeah, yeah, and it's because they can make extra money off it. Amazon Amazon Prime Video does this where, like, you pay for Amazon Prime, but then you have to pay for, like, another subscription for another service in order to get access to that on Prime, and you're kinda doubling up on subscriptions, and they're doing the same thing, which, like, it was weird enough with like, films, but it really doesn't belong in games. It's just too
Mm,
strange. Games are too expensive to pull this stuff off. Like, if you're gonna drop that much money on a subscription, you might as well just drop the 60 to £80 on just the game. It's weird.
yeah. So this is another attempt at Amazon getting more into the games market. And I feel like they don't intend to turn a profit with this. They're just staking their claim, I feel like. And they're just getting
Yeah,
a few games on there. They've partnered up with Ubisoft, of course, which has me being like,
yeah. They are kind of lost leading in the same way Game Pass did as well, with an introductory price of $5.99.
mm,
I'm sure that'll shoot up at some point, assuming it gets off the ground, which it won't. If they really need to, they need to do something better than
yeah,
this if they want it to get off the ground.
I do think it is just we're staking our claim on this, and that pretty much in the future they'll probably invest more in this. Because I still don't think, like, people have better internet nowadays than when we had, what was it called?
On
What is
live.
on live? Like, the infrastructure's a lot better than it used to be, but I still don't think a lot of people want to stream their games, you know?
Mm.
And, if they're going to stream games, they're probably not going to be streaming games that are as old as some of these games are. Unless you're playing the Ubisoft games, of which I don't
I'm
really
paying
care too
extra
much
for
for.
it.
Yeah. But, and you only get to use it on one device with Ubisoft for some reason.
And you'll be streaming in 4K, so it'll eat up all of your internet. All your
Yeah.
bandwidth's gone. Nothing else will work in your house.
So I don't know. It's an interesting move. I think they're gonna try and eventually just they'll be like, hey, if you want cloud gaming, we'll be the people doing it. And when the infrastructure is there, they'll probably invest a lot more into it. I just think this is them, putting down their flag and being like, this is ours.
Perhaps they will have better infrastructure than most companies. To be fair, can't argue with that.
Yeah.
That's a really good point.
And they'll also be able to then eventually, when they've built up Amazon games a bit more, they'll be able to push their products out with that as well.
Mm.
We will see though. We'll see where that actually goes. But yeah,
Should we?
there's not. They are the only one acquiring stuff this week. There's
Good
also been
segue, my man.
the big. We're doing it again. We're doing there was the big acquisition that Microsoft had where they got ZeniMax, which is the parent company of Bethesda, which is what people really care about.
What?
So Microsoft now own Bethesda.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of big games that they now hold the rights to.
So many big games. So many big games. That's a
Yeah.
game. That is a literal game changer. And for the first time in damn near a decade now, Xbox is actually looking competitive on the exclusive side of things.
Mm. Well, they have said that the games that were already going to be on PlayStation, they're going to honor those exclusives and actually honor the deal and have them on PlayStation as well. So that's going to be the case. But after that, they can do whatever they want with those IPs.
We don't know what they're going to do with Starfield or Elder Scrolls 6 or any
Yeah.
future Fallouts. They're probably going to be Xbox exclusive.
That'd be
Luckily,
bizarre.
it
Yeah.
encompasses PC, so but yet it will be very strange. Very
But
strange.
I mean, Microsoft in general, like they're looking like they hold all the RPGs, all like Western RPGs. They own the market on that now. Fable, they've got Fallout and Elder Scrolls now as well. So it's interesting to see. And Doom, oh Doom.
Yes, well, that's it. Bethesda own id, so all of
Yeah.
it's Wolfenstein, Quake,
Yep.
and of course Doom. So yeah, I mean I think those they'll carry on plodding on as normal, and that'll carve out a nice little corner for Microsoft. But I'm more interested in what's going to happen with Bethesda Game Studios, because uh, Bethesda's like a dev studio, and
Yeah.
ZeniMax, because ZeniMax as a publisher were pushing them down this route.
Mm.
They were going down a dark path, and I was not interested in the next Elder Scrolls or Fallout or even Starfield, because they've made so many bad choices. I didn't trust them anymore. Um, I'm really interested to see if Microsoft change the way they handle it, because Microsoft don't really they they don't have a microtransaction heavy business model. They're more interested in this subscription style. So I wonder whether they're gonna
This is definitely padding out
push
the
for.
Game Pass. This is what this is.
Oh yeah, definitely. But
Yeah.
I'm hoping that this means that the next Bethesda games turn out to be better than they would have done otherwise, because now they'll be encouraged to actually make the games good,
And
to
spend more
go on a
time on them.
subscription service and spend
Maybe
more
it,
time on them, hopefully.
maybe it won't be a buggy Bethesda game. Imagine
Oh,
that.
maybe we'll get a new engine, because since they've been using the same one for 20 years.
It's true, maybe. I mean, I feel like they've got to be working on a new engine for the new Elder Scrolls, surely.
Thing
Surely,
is,
come on.
we said that about Skyrim.
Come on,
Remember
listen,
that?
they've
And
got
then,
to have done it now. Come on, it's been too long.
do you remember with Skyrim when they went, "Good news, guys, we have made a whole new engine," and it turns out they just renamed the old one. God's sake.
It's I don't know, it's a big one though. It's like it's insane that they now own Bethesda,
Yeah,
which
it's got to be one of the biggest acquisitions I've ever seen. Honestly,
yeah,
it's huge.
as long as they don't end up like Rare. Which they
Oh
won't, but
God, yes.
imagine that.
Poor Rare, didn't deserve it.
Oh well, what a shame.
Mm.
But yeah,
It
go on, I'll let you finish.
no, go on. It's fine. It wasn't that important.
Okay, well, I mean, there's even more big stuff going on, which could be, and it's not as big as the Microsoft acquisition, but this is like really big for a lot of people, especially if you were a big fan of Blizzard. The not active Blizzard, the old
OG
Blizzard.
Blitz.
So the former Blizzard CEO, I think he was a CEO. I don't remember. He was an executive at least.
Co-founder, apparently.
Yeah, Mike Morhaime has launched Dreamhaven, which is a new game development studio, and he's got a lot of old Blizzard talent there, from what I understand.
Oh, yeah.
And there's been some not so subtle talk about the direction they want to take this company. They were like, we don't want. They've said stuff like along the lines of, we want some independence and creative freedom. So it's very clear they're being like, yeah, Activision came in and we couldn't do what we wanted to do. So this company we're doing what we want to do, which is very exciting for a lot of people, I think.
Yeah, that's really exciting. Genuinely.
Yeah, like if we get a Blizzard 2.0, like ooh,
Oh man, I do feel like no one's really replaced Blizzard. Blizzard were so unique, and
yeah,
they were so PC driven, which is exceedingly rare these days as well. Um, I'm trying to think of a PC driven publisher now, and I'm coming up with a blank. Maybe CD
CD
Projekt
Prod,
Red
yeah.
were, but then which has kind of gone on every console ever.
I mean, they also
Maybe
GOG as well.
Paradox.
They have GOG as well, CD Projekt. That's all them, isn't it?
Yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
they've
another
always been very
merge.
friendly. But yeah,
So
they're the only one that I could think of. But they're not Blizzard. Blizzard was very much the household name.
it was a different type of game too. They
Mm,
were all about competitive games, and social experiences.
yeah. Will they
Which,
will they make the WoW killer? That's the question. Will Blizzard 2.0 kill Blizzard?
I'm honestly more interested in seeing what kind of games they make in the style of like StarCraft and Hearthstone. Those
That
kind of
would be cool.
competitive games. That's more interesting to me. I think there's enough MMO competition out there these days.
You
We don't need
definitely
another
know,
one.
yeah. But I mean, who knows what'll happen at this point?
Mm.
It's really interesting though. I'm looking forward to what they do. It's really exciting. There's a lot of just big game changing stuff happening in the industry right now, and who knows? Who knows where it's all gonna go?
Mm.
Also, one last little bit to end on. The Tokyo Game Show happened, and Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity was there, so I just thought we'd bring that up because it looks
Ooh.
pretty neat. I don't know if you played
I
the
think
original
I'm gonna
Hyrule
pick.
Warriors.
I know if you remember, actually, I think like a
I
week or
think
two
you,
ago, I dropped into your chat and I mentioned that I hadn't played one. I was I've toyed with getting the original Hyrule Warriors because it
mm,
just looks like great fan service, but I've never played any Warriors game. I'm not certain whether I'll like them. It's hard to tell because it's kind of a hack and slash, which I don't really like hack and slashes.
yeah,
So I'm not sure, but I think I probably will pick up this Age of Calamity because I want to see more of the Breath of the Wild world, and this
yeah,
is
because it's the story we didn't get to see. It's the 100 years before, which
yeah,
is
yeah,
super interesting. And they've got Young Impa. Young Impa is a playable character,
that
so you
is
can go
cool.
around and punch people as her. So
It
it's
looks really
neat.
good, and it's obviously the gameplay is made by Muso, is he called? The typical Dynasty
Yeah, yeah,
Warriors
yeah, yeah.
gang anyway is making the gameplay, but it's written by Nintendo, so the world is and like the art style as well. You can tell they've taken all the assets
It's
from
very
Breath of
much
the
the
Wild,
same as Breath of the
but
Wild.
it feels like it's a actual Nintendo approved prequel to Breath of the Wild, which is really
Yeah,
cool to me. And I want it for that alone because even if it turns out I don't enjoy the gameplay that much, I'll still really enjoy seeing that world again and seeing
yeah,
uh, the prequel because it's gonna have a kind of Halo Reach style, um,
yeah. Because you know what's gonna
slightly
happen.
depressing vibe. You know you don't win this war. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So
Or maybe
that'll be
you
really
can.
cool.
Maybe there's a alternate timeline where you
Maybe.
1% the game and save the day.
Do you know what? That sounds like the sort of thing. I've never played one, but I can tell that Dynasty Warriors is the kind of series that would do something like that. But
Yeah, it's really interesting because I think with Breath of the Wild they had a vision for what they wanted to do, and it was so big they were like, let's split this into 3 different games because we also have the sequel to Breath of the Wild coming now as well.
yeah, yeah. Um, I mean, it's a really like interesting world. And
Mm,
there's a lot that they can do with it. So I think it'll be cool, and it will be cool to see to see the world before it collapsed. Definitely, it's just cool in the trailers to see Castletown not destroyed. I love that. I love seeing different versions of Hyrule because I'm such a Zelda nerd. I love seeing different renditions of Hyrule and getting to see
yeah,
Castletown properly is cool in and of itself. But just to see that world and to give them an opportunity to build on the writing because uh, it was just kind of a little bit bare bones. It was like a cool world, but the actual writing was really bare bones in Breath of the Wild. So if
yeah.
they can build on that, then that'd be cool.
It was very minimal. It was like you can piece some parts together yourself. Is what Breath of the Wild was all about.
I mean, yeah, that's not a problem. I don't have an issue
Mm,
with that. It's just that the actual writing itself was pretty dull. Like Zelda was, her character was pretty much just that she cries everywhere. She's like, I want to make a difference to this war, and then she cries because she can't. Which I imagine we're going to be seeing a lot more of that in
mm,
Age of Calamity because that seems to be all she did in the lead up to the war
yeah,
because she wasn't allowed to help much, and she just got frustrated and cried about it.
but you
But
have
I
Nitha.
hope they build on
Nitha.
that.
You have the Zora girl.
Mika. Oh yeah. I think it's funny, like my favorite character in Breath of the Wild is the Zora like prince who guides you up Zora River and into Zora's domain.
Yeah, he's a cool
Because
guy.
he's so cocky and like
Yeah,
so like weirdly like young and overly sexualized. And I was joking. I kept calling him Prince Daddy because that was just that's
oh
that he's
no.
got. And it is like that though. But then in Age of Calamity, because it's set 100 years before and Zora's lived for like 200, 300 years, don't they? So
Yeah,
he's there, but he's like a baby at this point because he's like a teenager in Breath of the Wild, and Zora's aged so slowly that he's a baby 100 years
yeah.
before Breath of the Wild. So he's just there, and now he's baby daddy. And I don't know how I feel about that.
I don't like those two words going together.
It's not good.
No. But yeah, and it's gonna be really cool. I think I might have to pick it up myself, honestly. I mean, the original Hyrule Warriors is also on Switch, so could even pick up
Yes.
both and play for them all. But who knows?
Could
But
do.
yeah, I thought we'd end on a high note with that. That's looking exciting. But yeah, that's the podcast. We went 30 minutes over, but that's fine. We kind of knew this would be a jam-packed episode.
Oh,
So yeah, Tef, why don't you tell the people where they can find you on the interwebs?
The people can find me on twitter.com. I am Tefus. Whack that in the chat for you there. Go have a goosey gander. I write Medium articles when I've got the time. I just kind of ramble about games like I do here.
You've written
So
quite a
if
few
you,
lately.
yeah, I've put 3 out this month, which is an incredible amount for me. It's very prolific for me.
Yeah,
Usually I do like once a month, but I've just had more time because I've always got loads of ideas and just adult life is poo and I don't have time. But I've been smashing them out. I did one last week that we I couldn't talk about because we didn't do the podcast, but
yeah,
I did one about Hypnospace Outlaw. So if I've got more thoughts about that. That's in that article, and I put one out today as well, which is just it's just about tank controls. I wanted to talk about that for a little while. And the return of Mario 64 seemed like a really good time to do it because that game kind of it came out alongside a whole bunch of other games that had tank controls, and Mario 64 didn't. And it was very just an interesting time in gaming when everyone was trying to figure out the best way to control a character in a 3D space. So
yeah,
yeah, if you want to see more about that, I did write about that, and that's it's all on my Twitter. The latest articles always pinned on my Twitter, and you can
yeah.
find the rest of them from there in Medium.
Yeah, go give her a read. Go have a look. And as for myself, well, if you're here, you probably know me already. But Zanrise on Twitch, Zanrise on YouTube, Zan Games on Twitter, and the real Zanrise on Instagram. If you want to go on over to YouTube, it's a lot of arcade stuff. I still haven't done indie stuff on there yet, but I feel like I really want to at some point. And also, if you want to listen to this podcast on the go, you can over at iTunes or Spotify. If you just search this podcast is an alpha or Zanrise, you should be able to find it. So give that a look as well. And that is it. That is the show. We did it.
Wow, juicy fella.
Well, it was a juicy episode. So much juice.
Squeeze it all out.
This is getting
Had fun.
weird. I don't know how I feel about
Only
this
if you make
analogy.
it weird, babe.
Okay. And on that note, that's the end of the episode. Thank you for watching, everyone. We'll see you all next Monday for the 20th episode. Bonsoir.
Bonsoir.